They said I married Nathan for money. Not to my face, of course, but in whispers behind napkins, in tight-lipped glances across dinner tables, in fake smiles paired with phrases like, "She's sweet." But you know how these things go. I met Nathan on a rainy Thursday afternoon. I was stocking a shelf in the back of the bookstore I worked at, paperbacks tumbling into neat lines when he walked in, drenched but calm. He asked if we carried any books on silent leadership. That was the first time I heard his voice. Smooth, curious, sincere. He looked like someone important pretending not to be. For the next few weeks, he kept showing up. Not just to buy books, but to talk. About authors, life, strange dreams, and one time, why he hated cucumber sandwiches. I laughed at that one, and he said he hadn't heard someone laugh like that in years. Eventually, he asked me out for coffee. Just coffee. I didn't know who he was. Not then. He didn't lead with his last name. No mentions of his family business, the company worth millions, or the fact that his mother once had dinner with a former president. He wore jeans and talked like someone who had built things with his own hands. I thought he was a teacher. Maybe a psychologist. When he finally told me his real identity weeks later, after we'd already kissed on a park bench, I blinked and said, "Okay. Do you still want coffee tomorrow?" That made him smile. We dated for almost a year before he proposed. It wasn't some lavish event with a drone camera and a string quartet. Just him, on one knee, at the bookstore, holding a ring that had once belonged to his grandmother. He said, "You're the calm in all my noise." And I said yes, even though I knew what that yes meant. It meant marrying into his world. The wedding was small by his family's standards, just 80 people. His mother wore a pearl set that probably cost more than my entire student loan debt. She hugged me like I was breakable porcelain. His father gave a vague toast about new beginnings and protecting what matters. From the beginning, I felt the walls. Not from Nathan but from everyone around him. At our rehearsal dinner, I overheard his cousin say, "She's cute." Definitely not what I expected. And then, laughter. The polite, sharp kind. I told myself to let it go. That I didn't need to prove anything. That love would be enough. But love, apparently, wasn't enough for them. A month into our marriage, Nathan's mother visited. She brought along the family attorney, a sleek man named Carlisle who smiled without ever showing his teeth. They said they were reviewing financial alignment. Carlisle laid out documents, bank statements, credit history, things I hadn't looked at in years. Nathan sat next to me, silent, unsure. Carlisle smiled again and said, "We just want to make sure expectations are aligned." It's standard, really. Nathan's mother added, "Think of it as protecting what Nathan's built." I looked at Nathan. He didn't defend me, he didn't say a word. And that's when I knew they didn't trust me, not even a little. I didn't yell. I didn't storm out. I didn't even cry. I waited until Carlisle and his stack of cold paperwork had left the house, until Nathan's mother kissed him on the cheek like she hadn't just implied I was a gold digger. I waited until the front door closed and we were finally alone in the quiet hum of our kitchen. And then I asked, "Do you really think I'm here for your money?" Nathan didn't meet my eyes. He fiddled with the edge of his coffee mug like it suddenly had answers. "They just want to protect what's been in the family. It's not personal. It's about me, Nathan. That makes it personal." He said nothing. That silence split something in me. Not my love for him, no, that stayed. But something else broke. The illusion that we were partners. That his loyalty had a backbone. The days that followed were polite but hollow. He went to meetings. I stayed home, curled in the corners of our too big house, surrounded by expensive art I hadn't picked out. I started job hunting again, trying to feel useful. I needed something of my own. Eventually, I found it. A position as a communications lead at a local nonprofit. It didn't pay much, but it gave me purpose. I was writing again, meeting people who cared more about community than cocktails. But when I told Nathan, he blinked. "You're working?" "Yes," I said. "I want to." His lips parted, and then he stopped himself. "It's your choice." He didn't sound thrilled. By our 6-month anniversary, things were tense. Nathan was distant. His family had all but stopped calling me by name. At a party his mother hosted, someone introduced me as Nathan's wife. Just wife. No name. Like I was some anonymous accessory. The final straw came the night of his father's retirement gala. Everyone was there: shareholders, extended family, journalists. I wore a simple navy dress Nathan once said made my eyes look like storms. But that night, he didn't notice. He barely spoke to me. During the speech, Nathan stood with his family at the front of the ballroom. I was in the back, near the bar. A woman next to me, clearly tipsy, laughed and said, "She's still around." I turned slowly. "Excuse me." "Oh," she said, flushing. "No offense, I just thought, you know, with the prenup drama and all." There was no prenup. Not yet. But suddenly, everyone seemed to think there should be been. That night, I asked Nathan again. "Do you think I'm with you for what you have?" He was tired. He rubbed his eyes. "I think people are complicated." I took that as a yes. So I did the only thing I could do. I quietly started building my own record. Emails. Messages. Screenshots. Voice memos. Nothing invasive, just proof. Proof of how we met. How we loved. How we laughed. The long voice note he sent me after our 3rd date. The phone call where he told me he never wanted a woman who cared about wealth. I saved it all, and then I called a lawyer of my own. My lawyer's name was Erica. Sharp. Composed. She wore flats instead of heels and never smiled unless she meant it. I told her everything. Not in a rush, not in anger. Just the facts. She listened, nodding slowly, her fingers moving across her tablet. When I finished, she looked up and said, "You're not suing them yet. You're documenting a pattern." "A pattern?" I asked. Erica tilted her head. "Of economic manipulation. Public shaming. Strategic isolation." I stared at her. She leaned in. "If your husband's family wants to paint you as some opportunist, you need to build a timeline that proves you were never after anything but him. The rest will crumble." So, I did. I kept everything. Screenshots of his messages from our early days, messages that said, "I've never cared about money and I love how grounded you are." I saved emails from his family suggesting a quiet annulment, just in case. And I recorded the phone call with his mother when she told me I needed to step aside for Nathan's sake. All while pretending everything was fine. Nathan was still warm, sometimes. He brought home pastries. He kissed my forehead. But it felt like he was hugging a version of me that no longer existed, the woman who didn't question, who didn't he resist? Then came the day I found the envelope. It was on the kitchen counter, half tucked beneath a stack of mail. Inside was a draft of a post-nuptial agreement. Typed. Signed by his parents. With a blank space for my signature. I sat at the table for over an hour, staring at the paper. Not crying. Just seeing clearly for the first time in months. Nathan came home, humming to himself. He kissed my cheek, poured himself a drink. And then he saw the envelope in my hands. He stopped humming. "You weren't supposed to see that yet," he said. "Yet." He sighed. "It's not what you think. It's exactly what I think." He rubbed the back of his neck. "It's just a safety net." "For who?" He didn't answer. That night, I slept in the guest room. And the next day, I called Erica. "I'm ready," I said. "Let us do this carefully." Erica advised that we don't fight fire with fire. "Not yet. You have your records," she said. "Now let us wait for the moment they reveal themselves fully." It didn't take long. 1 month later, Nathan's mother sent a letter handwritten, scented, vicious in its politeness. She suggested I take a step back from the family events while things were evaluated. I handed it to Erica. She smiled, the first real smile I'd seen from her. They've just given us what we needed. The letter changed everything. It wasn't just rude, it was strategic. Every line carefully worded to sound graceful while cutting deep. "Given the optics of recent discussions," she wrote, "it might be best for everyone if you refrain from attending high-visibility functions." Translation: disappear quietly. Erica read it twice. "This is what we call a soft erasure. They want you gone, but in a way that doesn't get messy." I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because I'd finally stopped being shocked by their audacity. They weren't even pretending anymore. "You're going to attend the next event," Erica said. "What?" "You're going to look incredible, be polite, gracious. You'll shake hands, smile, and leave just enough of a presence that they realize you're not fading." It felt like walking into a fire barefoot, but I did it. It was Nathan's father's retirement celebration again. A smaller gathering, but even more exclusive. Executives, investors, politicians. I wore a white tailored pantsuit and red lipstick. Not to stand out but to be remembered. As soon as I walked in, I felt the hush. Eyes darted. Glasses clinked more softly. Nathan's mother froze mid-conversation. Nathan blinked. Then forced a smile. "You came." "I was invited," I said, evenly. He took my elbow gently. "Just stay near me tonight, okay?" I did the opposite. I mingled. I spoke with one of the firm's new investors, a woman from Hong Kong with an architecture background. I complimented someone's watch. I complimented his mother's earrings. I made sure they couldn't spin any story about me being cold or bitter. But the real moment came at the end. Nathan's father was giving a farewell speech. I stood near the back again, but this time, deliberately. I knew someone was filming. Maybe a few someones. I needed the footage. "I want to thank everyone," his father said, "but especially my family, my wife, my son, and those who stand behind them." His eyes passed right over me like I didn't exist. And that's when I stepped forward. I didn't interrupt. I didn't make a scene. I simply moved closer, stood next to Nathan, took his hand, and nodded at the room. Calm. Collected. The effect was electric. People noticed. His mother's lips tightened. His father faltered mid-sentence. And in that pause, I smiled. Because ID just made it impossible for them to pretend I wasn't part of the narrative. Later that night, Nathan didn't speak on the drive home. But when we pulled into the driveway, he parked the car, kept the engine running, and finally said, "They think you're threatening." "I haven't done anything threatening," I replied. "I know. That's what scares them." Back inside, I opened my laptop. Erica had already messaged me. Someone had posted a clip of the speech online, me stepping forward, Nathan taking my hand. The caption read, "The woman they tried to erase." It had over 12,000 views in 2 hours. Erica sent another message. "This is our moment. Let us get the deed." 2 weeks after the video went viral, Nathan's family went silent. No texts. No dinners. Not even passive-aggressive emails. It was like they were regrouping behind some invisible curtain, waiting for their next move. But we had already made ours. Erica filed a formal request with Nathan's company for a copy of all joint property agreements and financial statements signed since our wedding. We weren't suing. Not yet. Just auditing. What came back was illuminating. There it was, buried between legal jargon and notarized pages, my name, printed next to Nathan's on the property deed for the lake house in Vermont, the very place his family insisted was never really mine. ID signed it, Nathan had signed it, and the lawyer present was none other than his father's firm partner. I wasn't just his girlfriend. I wasn't some guest in their empire. I was, on paper and in fact, part owner of that estate. We had what we needed. But Erica wanted more. "This isn't about revenge," she told me. "It's about reclaiming your place. Not just in their eyes but in yours." So I made a choice. The company was throwing an annual donor gala, black tie, televised. Normally, I wouldn't go near it. But this time, I didn't just attend, ICO sponsored it. Quietly. Through a non-profit I had helped launch 2 years prior, focused on empowering women in corporate leadership. I arrived early. Alone. Wearing black satin and confidence. The whispers started immediately. I wasn't on the guest list. Or so they thought. Then, on the big screens near the entrance, a short video montage began playing clips of the nonprofit's work, interspersed with quotes from its anonymous co-founder. Until the final frame, which showed my full name, elegantly animated. I walked in right as my name faded off screen. Nathan's mother turned pale. His father looked like someone had knocked the wind out of him. And Nathan, he just stared. He approached me slowly, glass in hand, voice low. "You planned this?" "No," I replied. "I earned this." There was nothing left to say. I shook hands with people who used to ignore me, smiled at board members who once doubted me. I was no longer a shadow behind Nathan. I wasn't even beside him. I was ahead. Later that night, as I left the gala, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Erica. Just a single line. "They can't erase what's already in ink." I looked up at the night sky and breathed. Not because the fight was over, but because I had finally stopped asking for space and started claiming it. This wasn't about revenge. It was about presence. And mine was undeniable.